Në episodin e 5 të sezonit katërt podkastit Flasim kam të ftuar special për këtë episod një personazh sipas meje të jashtëzakonshëm, por besoj edhe pavarësisht nga unë të jashtëzakonshëm. Profesorin Hubert Hasenauer, i cili është sot në Shqipëri si rezultat i një ure misie të ngritur në mënyrë të befasishme mes nesh dhe ti. Kam profesor Fatbardh Sallakun, që është rektori i Universitetit Bujqësor. Kam edhe Dajanën, që është studente dhe që gjatë bisedës do të shpjegoj vetë se ku hyn tu në këtë mes tre burrash, nga cilët dy pothuajse pa flok fare dhe një tjetër me flok, por tërësisht bardha. Dear Professor Hasenauer, I just made an introduction of all of us and of all of you. And I'm very thankful that you made it to be in this podcast. And I just said in introducing you that you are an extraordinary person, figure, with whom we built an unexpected bridge of very strong friendship. And you are here in Albania because of this friendship. Now let's go a bit further to make it a bit more concrete. And let me go back to the first moment we saw each other at the stairs of BOKU, when I appeared with a crew of people and you were there looking at me and wondering what the hell I should say and I should do with this strange prime minister crossing BOKU's door. Profesor Hasenauer është ish-Rektori i Universitetit BOKU, një në universitetet më prestigjioz të Evropës, me një histori të jashtëzakonshme në Vjenë, një universitet që mbulon të gjithë spektrin e studimeve mbi bujqësinë, mbi zhvillimin rural, mbi zhvillimin qëndrueshëm, mbi mjedisin e kështu me radhë. Dhe është në ndërkohë një mbështetës i zjarrt i Universitetit Bujqësor në një proces që e kemi nisur së bashku pikërisht në atë takim që sapo thash. So I introduce now the part of who you are beyond your extraordinary personality. So now you have all the time to explain from the moment you saw us to today, and then we take it from there.
Okay. Thank you, and also thanks for the nice introduction and giving me a chance to speak here in this podcast. I would really like to clarify your opening statement. Of course, I was very surprised to meet the Prime Minister from Albania, and also I was not quite sure what you wanted, but what I really realized from the first moment, the honest idea to do something good for the country. And when you would like to do something influential for the country, the main thing is always to look at young people, because this is the next generation. And if you have good young people of the next generation, you at least have something accomplished which makes your country prosperous and goes in the right direction. And if people in your position, Prime Minister and also Rektor Sallakun, come and take a time to BOKU, you see this feeling in your heart, and this was actually what impressed me. I have to say I was not quite sure if you will go so far, but at the end I have to say you usually start with a small idea and make something big out of it, and I'm very impressed how the project runs so far, and also the support by the government of Albania, but also by the Austrian government, because they also wanted this, they also financed this, and also the support by the people from the university. So thank you for this.
If you can repeat, I don't know, maybe it's for the millionth time in your long career at BOKU as professor and then as rector, but it's needed now a very short summary about BOKU. So what is BOKU and where it stands today in the picture of higher education in Europe?
The University of Natural Sciences, and now we call it BOKU University, was founded in 1872. And the basic idea of the founders was to integrate technical science, ecological or biological science with social sciences. So today we talk about the interdisciplinary approach. This was the founding idea of BOKU. And why was this so important at this time, at least in Central Europe? We had large devastated areas. We had serious problems in managing the environment. And so there was a need from the stakeholder side that we need a professional education to secure sustainable development. And sustainable development, you cannot just look at this only from the biological point of view. Sustainable development has a lot to do with social science, economics, with rural development. And this has made BOKU, depending on the mainstream over the years, a very successful university. Of course, you are always a specialized university with a certain unique selling point. We are not a comprehensive university. But looking at the current developments of sustainability, climate change, then also the production of renewable resources, the topics of such universities have become very important. And BOKU is here one of the leading universities in Europe. And to come to the Albanian side, I also see this here for the Agricultural University in Tirana. So the idea to become something like a similar university as you have it, not just at BOKU, you look at Wageningen in the Netherlands and so on, makes perfect sense, because you are on the way to enter the European Union. You are on the way, and you are one of the leading countries here in the West Balkan. And you need this integrative or interdisciplinary education, because you need rural development. And when we talk about rural development, what exactly is this? Developing income for people in the area. This has two important issues: that not everybody can come to the city, and secondly, people never would like to leave their home country or hometown. So you need to give them opportunities that they can develop a prosperous life in the region where they live. And this is also why I see here a huge potential. And of course it all starts with education, but then also on the other hand with developing structures which support this, so political structures and so on. But this is not the business of scientists.
You touched a bit upon the collaboration, and you even said that at that moment in time when we met, you didn't see for sure that this cooperation could go so far. But if you would summarize, before I ask Professor Sallakun, if you would summarize in few words where we are today in this cooperation, what would be your assessment from 1 to 10?
So 1 is very good, or 10 is very good?
1 is very bad, 10 is very good.
I think we are 9.5. Well, 9, because you should never be completely happy. Yeah, you should always.
So you think it's going by as planned?
Yeah, and I would shortly outline how we have planned it. So the first idea was that we do an assessment of the current situation. So we started this project with 1st of June 2024. So we are in the 7th or 8th months. Yeah? And the first thing was that we really wanted to know what is the current situation in terms of the teaching output and the research output, and also understand the infrastructure. This has taken us a bit of time, but it is important that the faculty and staff basically reflects to their own abilities, but also to their own work. So this is also making people aware, what actually do I do the whole day? Yeah? Then the second thing, we had a very nice workshop to define the competences of the university. And here it's really pointed out, or it came out, that you have some very important key competencies: veterinary medicine, then of course forestry, biotech, food is a key issue, of course agriculture, yeah, and then several other things along the line. And all this is then supported by technical issues, by biological issues, and of course, economic issues. And what we do right now is that based on these competences, we start changing the key processes of a university. And what are the key processes? It's research, and research is actually the most important one because a university gets the know-how from the research. So if you don't do any research, then in the long run you have a problem to survive. Then the teaching, because you need to have a research-driven teaching, and then third, mission, and then of course administration who facilitates these key processes. And because it's very urgent for the university, we are currently quite along the line with the reorganization of the teaching. Do you want me to say a bit what we do here?
No, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So what we did is we established a university-wide committee for teaching affairs. This is very unique. So teaching has to be coordinated on the university level because it's a strategic issue to place programs, or if you are in business, you would say this is your selling point. This is like your branding. And the students are the most important ambassadors of a university because they should come, study and say, well, I learned so much at this university and now I make a strong career. So this is an important issue. And what we do is we have this teaching committee, and then we have established working groups who actually develop the different teaching programs. And then this goes through the usual university routine. And then the implementation, of course, goes through the hierarchy of a university, rectorate, faculties, departments, and so on, because they need to provide the infrastructure and the organizational part. But this academic level is a strategic issue, and we basically organize this on a university level. And this is all agreed. It already went through all the official committees. This is basically in place. The next step we would like to do, and this is the research. So we need to, we figured out in our workshop on the competences that the research potential is very high. I think you can expect that coming closer to the EU
yes.
debate, the West Balkan and especially Albania will be a top country or role model for the West Balkan. So there will be enormous research needs, and I would also say there will be money floating in. But you need to have the structure that you can use this money
exactly.
to produce know-how, and then after the know-how to produce businesses. So there is this good saying, what is the difference between science and innovation? Science needs money to produce know-how, and innovation needs know-how to produce money. So this means that with the know-how you can then start small businesses and developments for the benefit of the country. So here we are at this stage, and parallel to this, of course, it has an impact on the administration, so how we organize this. But I think at the beginning, and with this I would like to end, is you also need to prepare people for such a change process. You need to be careful that you don't lose people. And at the end, and I always say this in every presentation, it's your university. You need to create ownership. It's not important what the Austrians say. It's important what the Albanians say, and that they're happy with it. And so that in the long run, so in 4 or 5 years, we are not needed anymore. This would be the greatest success because you do everything by yourself.
I hope it will go the other way around. In 4 or 5 years, we'll be just one.
Yes. Okay.
I switch in Albanian, professor, if you don't mind, just to make it easier for our followers. Atëre me profesor Hasenauerin tani më sa kohë bëhet që jemi në një varg?
Ne kemi filluar për vitin e katërt, pra kemi filluar që përpjekjet tona të para fal vizitës dhe mbështetjes tuaj ka filluar në korrik të vitit 21 dhe na është dashur 3 vite ta bindim me gatishmërinë, me punë, me përpjekje të tjera me radhë, dhe tani kemi 7 muaj që jemi intensivisht. Dhe unë dua ta falenderoj profesorin jo vetëm për mbështetjen, por tani ka kaluar pritshmëritë. Për hir të vërtetës, unë nuk e fshet them që ne kemi qenë paksa skeptik fillimisht, sepse çdo asistencë huaj dhe ne kemi eksperiencë, qëndron deri në statusin e advisor, por me ekipin e BOKU-s kemi shkuar më tutje, pra ne këto janë përfshirë më shumë se sa ne. Dhe unë për këtë gjëra të falenderoj sepse jo vetëm për ekspertizën, për gatishmërinë, por për ekipin e zgjeruar dhe për çdo mbështetje që na ka dhënë. Për informacionin tuaj, Fakulteti i Mjekësisë Veterinare nuk është pjesë e BOKU-s, nuk ka qenë pjesë e marrëveshjes, por fal lobimit, ne kemi futur tani edhe Fakultetin e Mjekësisë është shumë i rëndësishëm për sigurinë ushqimore dhe gjitha gjërat. E kemi futur në bashkëpunim me universitetin më të mirë në botë për mjekësinë veterinare që është i Vjenës, dhe rektoria ishte dhe ka marrë përsipër dhe ristrukturimin e këtij fakulteti. Pra, ajo që unë dua t'ju them, zoti kryeministër, është që kemi nisur një rrugë pakthim, projekti është në fazën intensive. Ne sot në orën 11 kemi një prezantim shumë të detajuar për stafin, dhe akoma nuk po i heqim skepticizmin dhe dyshimet. Ndoshta ne shqiptarët dhe më shumë në raca e akademikëve ndoshta nuk besojmë, stafi im besojnë, s'ka besuar fillimisht që po ndodh, dhe tani që po ndodh, njerëzit janë bërë më të vetëdijshëm. Pra, qasja ne që po bëjmë sot është e para në sistemin arsimor, po bëjmë qasje top-down approach, pra është universiteti që vendos kush duhet të jenë kompetencat që ky universitet duhet të qëndrojë. Dhe Hubert para në takimin e radhës tha me dy fjalë. Ne duhet të kemi disa programe për cilët gjyshja e Dajanit ta marrë vesh me një fjalë për çfarë po studion vajza ose mbesa ose nipi. Dhe ne në këtë fazë jemi që ne kemi vendosur kompetencat kryesore të Universitetit Bujqësor, sepse atë kemi detyrimin të shërbejmë dhe ekonomisë shqiptare. Pra në disa sektorë të ekonomisë, pra siç është agronomia, zootehnia, mjekësia veterinare, peshkimi, janë sektor bazik. Dhe ne kemi detyrimin që këto kompetenca profesionale duhet që ndërën bazë. Pra në qoftë se më lejoni ta përmbledh, unë do thosha që kompetencat, dhe kjo është ai që quhet dielli i Universitetit Bujqësor, i cili është krijuar pas shumë konsultimeve dhe pak a shumë është e njëjta si puna asaj kur ne shkojmë në një restorant, që ne mbajmë mend me intern, pra mbajmë mend pjatën kryesore, nuk shkojmë për sallatrat e tjera. Sigurisht sallatrat janë të nevojshme të duhura sepse i japin shije, por në fund fare të ditës ne mbajmë mend që kemi shkuar për mish, për pul, për peshk. Dhe kjo është ajo që ne po bëjmë në Universitetin Bujqësor, që të dimë kush janë kompetencat që ky universitet do qëndrojë për këtu dhe për 10 vite të ardhshme apo 20 vite të ardhshme. Besoj që jemi në rrugë të mbarë, patjetër ka goxha, le ta quajmë, unë i quaj të arsyeshme. Shpeshherë edhe mirë kuptoj kolegët e mi, zoti kryeministër, sepse unë do thosha, do të përdor thënien e një kolegut që profesorët faktikisht deri tani kanë të provuar dhe të përdor vetëm një shqisën e mësimdhënies. Dhe nëse vim tek shqisa e kërkimit shkencor që e përmendi Huberti, e kemi pak të zhvilluar. Dhe pastaj po nëse flasim për shqisën e know-how apo të transferimit teknologjive, që është misioni kryesor, po thuaj se kemi zero. Dhe ne duhet tani stafi akademik, profesorët, të fillojnë të mendojnë si ta forcojmë shqisën e kërkimit shkencor. Dhe mbi të gjitha shqisën e nuhatjes. Çfarë ndodh në vitin 2030 kur ne fatmirësisht besoj do jemi anëtar të Bashkimit Evropian. Me miliona euro të fondit kohezionit janë në dispozicion, apo të fondeve të tjera, por këto mund ta absorbohen vetëm nëse ne jemi serioz dhe kemi qartësi për sa i përket objektivat kërkimit shkencor dhe çfarë ne duam të bëjmë.
Tani t'ja kaloj pak Bejanit me dëshirën dhe kërkesën që ta bëjmë më konkrete për gjyshen gjithë këtë bisedë.
Atëherë, faleminderit për mundësinë që jam pjesë e këtij paneli si fillimisht, sepse nuk është aq e zakonshme që studentët të kenë një përfaqësi apo një zë në një proces shumë të rëndësishëm të kaq final sa është kjo që ka në universitetin jonë. Unë jam studente e vitit parë master, jam për inxhinieri agromedisi dhe ekologji, dhe pikërisht këtë titull e kam përmendur kur isha pjesë e mbledhjeve bashkë me zotin Hubert dhe zotin rektor dhe stafin tjetër akademik, sepse po këtë herë ishin të përfshirë. Studentët ishin të përfshirë në mbledhje, ishin të përfshirë në këshillim apo vendimarrje kur shkruar dielli kompetencave, kemi qenë pjesë e grupeve të punës. Prandaj do thoya që ky është një proces që po ndryshon gjërat, sepse unë kur dëgjova për Universitetin Bujqësor të Tiranës, kur isha thjesht një gjimnaziste, unë dëgjova nga shoqit e mia, dëgjova nga prindët e mi, ama shkoja dhe vizitova vetë. Pasha ka infrastrukturën, ka ndërtesat, a ka kushtet të duhura që unë ta zgjedh si edukimin tim të lartë. dhe i kishte, siç tha zoti rektor, që janë teknologjitë, janë mundësitë, por ka vend për më shumë. Ka vend për më shumë sepse ka, siç tha zoti rektor, ka probleme, ka mbifendosje orësh, ka ngatresa që nuk duhet të jenë në bachelor dhe në master. Për shumë klasa që janë përsëritur disa herë rresht, janë shumë të specializuara, janë supozituar të jenë për master, ne kemi bërë bachelor disa herë rresht, dhe nuk është nevojë të jetë kaq e përcip, sepse fundja bachelor është një nivel që është për njohuri të bazë dhe një ristrukturimi të gjithë këtyre gjërave, dhe ishte shumë më i nevojshëm për universitetin tonë, sepse fundja ne jemi student, por nuk është se jemi thjesht student, nuk është se jemi thjesht individ, ne jemi shoqëri dhe jemi ardhmja e kombit shqiptar. Prandaj unë jam sportuese shumë e madhe e kësaj nisme dhe po përpiqem të jap përcjell dhe kolegëve të mi, që tashmë po dëgjojmë pak e nga pak dhe po bëhen pjesë pak e nga pak, do bëhen pjesë dhe sot vitet në vazhdim në takime ndryshme me stafin nga Vjena, me profesorin. Do kemi dëgjime nga ana jonë për nevojat tona, për shqetësimet tona, për vendimet tona lidhur me këtë proces.
So we are now at a point in time when all that we started with the ambition to get the BOKU University involved and all the efforts to bring Professor Hasenauer on board are giving a lot of results, I believe, and results that are both ways. Results of progress and also results of better understanding the mistakes and better understanding the vacuums and better understanding the many things that need to be fixed. But to make it very clear for everyone who is following us, because he was mentioning your the way you challenge them by saying that universities should be able to tell its goals in a way that even the grandmothers of the students understand what their grandkids are going to face and what it will be at the end, what they will get. The point is to make sure that until 2030 we have a totally reshaped and rebranded University of Agriculture, and we started from a very, very dramatic situation before we said, okay, now we can go to see BOKU, because the university was practically taken very, very much in hostage by illegal developments in its campus, by confusion, and also by a lot of downgrade of its reputation. And so I remember our discussion with the rector when he was starting to feel very, very concerned that students were not enough to keep going to university, and he said we should lower the expectation, and we should open the door even for kids that come from high school with very low results. And I said, no, this is not the way. We should now hit and run for excellence, and this is what we are trying to do. And Dajanën was also explaining that this process is every day more welcomed by the students, who feel more involved, but involved in the sense not just to be asked what they wish, but to be aware of what is the challenge and what are the obstacles to be overcome. Otherwise, if you simply ask the wish list, it will not go anywhere. So now I'm coming back to you, of course, and I'm asking you to elaborate a bit further, and to keep in mind the grandmothers that are following.
I think you outlined this very nicely, but the thing is always how to make this happen. And my experience in university administration and also working in committees is you first need to understand the system, and then you need to develop a vision. And you see here, the audience cannot see this, but this is our famous out sign, which shows vision, mission, competencies, and then along these competencies you implement the key processes at the university. And this is a result of a workshop where basically it, on one page, in a nutshell, you see what the university should stand for. And I think what we do right now, and this is from my understanding in the change process extremely important, you need to develop structures so that people have something like a red line or a guideline along these things work. And then, of course, it's patience and also then sometimes a bit of luck to find the right people to fill these wishes. Because at the end of the day, we should never forget a university lives on the people. So very good staff members, administrative support personnel, but also students. And what we try to initiate is to develop structures where those people who are working hard and those people who want to accomplish something can follow your ideas. Because at the end of the day, and I think this is also important for politicians, the taxpayers pays these universities. And the taxpayer wants to have something back. And what they want to have back, well-educated people who help to develop the society. And I think also we as professors should be always very proud of this, that we are paid by the taxpayer to think about good ideas for the benefit of the country. And I think what I see here at this university is that you have a very unique USP, so the unique selling point. This also came out in a large survey we did. I did mention this before. We had it's called Market Institute. We did this with BOKU surveys about the perception of the university and so on. And we had about, we sent out 1,500 responses from faculty, staff, students, alumni, and stakeholders.
Yes.
And there are a few very interesting key messages. First of all, what are the key topics? Well, it's clear. Veterinary medicine, agriculture, forestry, and this nature conservation, all this kind of thing. Tourism, for example. And the second thing is also, how do you think we can accomplish this? Well, transdisciplinary approach, so that we really see this in a broader sense and not the sectorial approach. And this is what we try to implement. And this is a philosophy. And with this philosophy, you are automatically in problem solving. And that's, you know, when you ask what are you doing, we want to solve problems based on a scientific level, of course. But this problem solving has made BOKU very strong. And I see here also the very unique point of the agricultural university, that you have all the facilities. You know, you have interesting topics, you have also nice facilities at the university, but now we need to develop the structures that the people can develop, but also for their personal success. At the end of the day, we all need to benefit in a personal way, by career perspective, by becoming famous or something like this. I mean, this is very logical, and you need to, I always say, you need to empower the people, that they like to work here, and they fight for their ideas. You know, there's nothing wrong that we have sometimes conflicts and so on, as long as they fight for the best solution. And if they do this, that's exactly what the university is all about. And I see this potential here. I also see that you have some very good scientists, yeah, and the people are really open for this change. Of course, it sometimes depends a bit, and I can understand this. And if we would like to present this to somebody, what should be in a few words the result? We would like to have very clear structure of the bachelor and research programs according to the competencies we have defined, and that the university is seen as the major hub for environmental and social issues in the agricultural, or let's say environment area. If we accomplish this, then I think you have a huge potential, and not just in Albania. I mean, I know the situation in Kosovo, in Montenegro and so on, and these countries are a bit too small to develop the same structure. But they would also benefit if things are working well here, and of course the other way around. And this is, now it's too early for this, but in the long run, I would say you will enlarge your area of influence. And to be honest, if I wouldn't be convinced that this is a makes perfect sense what we do here, I wouldn't be here. And therefore, I really appreciate, and I would like to say this again, and it's great respect also for Prime Minister for your effort, that you are eager to say, okay, we would like to try this, and we are patient to do this. We are willing to put also some efforts on the table, and now let's do something good. And I can promise we work very hard to get this done.
What we, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what we think we know for sure is if we don't try, we will not.
Yeah, you
make
failed.
it.
Yeah.
So we are gonna try with all our will, and I am sure that if we are patient and resilient, and if we insist in what we think together is the right thing to do, we'll succeed. But I want to tell you something, Professor, from my perspective, without, of course, having never entered in the substance of bachelor or curriculums or programs or whatever. Because of what I do since a long time, I have trained by doing, not that I've took courses, but I've trained by doing, my eye to read the energy of people from their eyes. And by having met so many people in so many years, and by having interacted with so many faces, and by having dealt with so many crowds, I have this sense of catching something from the eye. And I'm telling you, when I went first to visit this university, long ago now, how many years was my first visit? Because now you are a long time there, you know, you are never voted out. So how many?
I think more than 12, 15 years. Something.
No, I was Prime Minister, so it's not
so
yet 15 years.
No, as a Prime Minister, 2016.
So when I went there to, this is what I'm talking. So when I went there to start and see, because it was a very clear understanding among us in the government that if we want to improve more than the normal improvement, the area of agriculture, rural development, we need to put much more emphasis on the university, and we need to support the university, and so on and so further. So I go there, and I swear to you, you know, the eyes of the people there, students and people that were walking and crossing, were like no light, no hope, just like, you know, just like being there, you know, being there and like in a crossroad, waiting for something to happen. So waiting for a bus and thinking that the bus will never come, something like that. And this started to change, and now I have to come back again, and I have to give him an account of the degree of the intensity of the energy. But when we made the introduction of the program, I saw totally different atmosphere. So people were much more, you know. So this is growing now. Of course, we should be aware that it will take time, but the university has also one advantage, if I might say, because history matters, you know. Once upon a time was a very, very serious, you know, university. Of course, in a different world, in a different system, in a closed box, but quite serious. So I think we can aim to be really a destination of excellence in that part of Europe, and we should go on with that without you know, being discouraged by whatever we face in the way. Duke u kthyer pak tek gjuha jon. Sot në krahasim me momentin kur kemi nisur, si e gjykon ti situatën në aspektin e interesimit për universitetin, pratika i shqetësimi që na bëri bashkë në sensin e kësaj sfide. Është përmirësuar imazhi, ka më shumë interes, se kjo është një pyetje të për Dajanën për të kuptuar si e shohin, se gjithë problemi është që ti pastrojmë komplet atë blozën që i kishte rënë në perceptimin e njerëzve që aty shkojnë ata që nuk shkojnë mas i vend tjetër, aty shkojnë ata që s'kanë më shpresë se do bëjnë shkollë diku tjetër, aty shkojnë ata që hajtë se po i japim diplomë.
Spari faleminderit për pyetjen, sepse është tamam ajo që unë doja të thoja. Nuk do thoja vetëm për interesin nga studentët, por do thoja edhe nga interesin nga palët të treta, nga biznesi, nga kompanitë të ndryshme private, nga institucionet. Interesi vërtet është rritur dhe po rritet çdo ditë. Por para se të vi këtu, më lejoni t'ju them vetëm dy gjëra të vogla, të cilat unë nuk e ndoshta edhe mund t'i mirë kuptoj, por ajo që ne zoti kryeministër si shoqëri ndoshta kemi është ajo ndjenja e mosbesimit, ndjenja e inferioitetit. Dhe pavarësisht që stafi, kolegët tanë shkojnë jashtë në universitete të tilla si BOKU e tjerë me radhë, sa shkojnë atje thonë wow, çdo gjë këtu është perfekte, por tek ne nuk bëhet. Ndoshta akoma ato nuk e kanë besuar nga i pamje shkencore që një ditë po ne do të jemi edhe ne në nivelin e këtyre shkencore. Dhe kjo është ajo që ne po përpiqemi ta thyejmë dhe unë shpresoj shumë që po e thyejmë avash sepse po i tregojmë që projekti po ndodh. Projekti po ndodh dhe ne kemi filluar gjithçka serioze dhe ne kemi arritur tani të kemi diellin, të kemi kompetencat dhe ne në këtë shtator, në vitin e ri akademik, ne do shkojmë me ofertë të reja akademike për studentët. Dhe unë do ju ftoj që sot, sepse ne mendojmë që në prill maksimumi, brenda muajit prill, të vimë në një konferencë ku të lançojmë të gjitha çfarë kemi bërë, se unë jam shumë i sigurt që kjo eksperiencë duhet shërbejë edhe si një pilot për gjithë universitetet të tjera. Patjetër ne nuk jemi the best, por unë them që kjo metodologji është ajo që çdo njëri nga kolegët tanë, çdo universitet patjetër duhet shkojë. Kështu që ajo që është fokusi, zoti kryeminist, është që çdo universitet sot ne nuk kemi pse bëjmë përjashtim, është i bazuar në research. Dhe modeli që Huberti po përmend është i tillë, dhe ky ka qenë debati kryesor, ne duhet të fillojmë reformën me ofertën akademike apo duhet të fillojmë me researchin. Faktikisht sepse pa research ti nuk mund të kesh teaching. Fatkeqësisht universitetet tona janë të gjitha të bazuara në teaching. Dhe ne këtë po bëjmë, po ndryshojmë totalisht mentalitetin. Ti nuk mundesh dot të bësh research, nëse vetë i fokusuar vetëm te mësimi. Dhe prandaj thash që pedagogët tanë atë shqisën e kanë vetëm te mësimi. Interesi absolutisht jam i sigurt, ne kemi filluar kampanje me gjimnazet, me ato gjimnaze që janë historikisht të lidhur me Universitetin Bujqësor, Cerriku, Fieri, Shkodra, Kavaja, dhe ne jemi në kontakte me ato, po i instruktojnë të shkojmë në Tiranë, po jam shumë i sigurt që kjo ofertë e re akademike që vjen shtator, dhe ne do përpiqemi ta lançojmë fort në çdo gjimnaz, jam shumë i sigurt që të rinjt nuk kanë më, sepse tjetër që shumë interesante që edhe ju duhet ta dini, që nuk na vjen mirë që e themi. Ne kërkojmë, ju kërkoni, Ministria e Arsimit kërkon, që të ketë mobilitet studentësh ndërmjet vendeve tona në Europë, pra nga Shqipëria që në Gjermani e tjera, mobilitet do të lëvizshme. Ne fatkeqësisht nuk e kemi arritur mobilitetin ndërmjet fakulteteve tona, me kurrikulën ekzistuese që kemi. Një student që mbaron për pyje, inxhinier pyjesh, nuk mund të bëjë master në ekonomi, sepse nuk ka njohuritë të duhura. Opsioni që ne po ofrojmë tani, dhe që është i aftë edhe për bachelorin, është i tillë që ne po bëjmë interdisciplinary, që do thotë një student që diplomohet për pyje, merr njohuri të mjaftueshme, dhe që është i aftë të shkojë për master financë, për master në ekonomi, master mjedis apo via versa. Dhe kjo është çështja që në BOKU dhe ne kemi marrë pothuajse të plot, dhe ne po përpiqem të marrim pothuajse copy paste modelin e BOKU, sepse është një model i suksesshëm në ofertën akademike. Pra ne kemi 24 bachelor program me 5.000-6.000 student. Universiteti i BOKU-s me 10.000 student ka 7 bachelor. Dhe sigurisht ne jemi përpjekur ta heqim fjalën mbyllje. Ne nuk po mbyllim program. Sigurisht ne po i riorganizojmë programet. Dhe e fundit gjatë këtij procesi riorganizimi edhe për audiencën, sepse mund të krijojmë ndonjë keq kuptim që ne kemi filluar nga scratch. Jo. Ne po ruajmë traditën, atë ju sapo përmendët, që kemi patur para viteve në tjetër, një traditë shumë pozitive, po e pasurojmë me çfarë ka ndodhur në këto 30 vite, dhe patjetër po shtojmë nevojat se çfarë do ndodhë në 2030 në 2040. Kjo është oferta akademike që ne do t'i shkojmë gjimnazistëve në shtator, dhe shpresoj shumë që të jemi suksesshëm, sepse nuk ka arsye pse të refuzohet.
Dajanën, ti mendon që shokët, shoqëve tua që nuk janë aty, po që janë në universitetet e tjera të shohin pak ndryshe tani, apo të shohin si gjunaf kjo që vajti atje?
Në fakt po. Që tim komplet e sinqert, po. Ishte edhe unë prej e çështjes reputacionit në fillim. Ishte vërtet problem, prandaj unë zgjodha që të shkoja vetë, të shikoja dhe të injoroja fjalët apo le të themi atë imazhin që ishte krijuar për universitetin. Dhe pas ju, sigurisht u bëra studente, ishte vërtet që kishim shumë kompetenca dhe mundësi dhe unë bëja diskutime me shoqjet e mia që ishin në universitete të tjera që apo bëjmë mësim, apo bëni ju mësim, ka qenë periudha post-Covidit në atë kohë dhe vura re që vetëm unë në Bujqësor po bëja mësim serioz, aktiv në klasë. Dhe vazhdimisht kur bëja biseda ja kam përmendur që kemi pasur laboratore, kemi pasur mësim të rregullt, kemi pasur eksperjenca mobilitetit dhe për jashtë, për çështja e Erasmus, unë kam qenë 2 herë vetë, kam qenë në Milano, kam qenë në Sofia. Dhe shoqjet e mia ishin të interesuara. Në fakt kam pasur shoqe nga gjimnazet që më kanë thënë, a mund të na flasësh për UBT-n, sepse jemi të interesuar. Dhe unë gjithmonë ja kam shpjeguar që pavarësisht imazhit apo asaj idesë që thjesht në universitet në Kamës, ka më shumë këtu. Ka një ndërthurje disiplinash dhe ka mundësi. Pavarësisht të gjë ka shumë mundësi. Dhe një pjesë e kësaj që po më thani, po zgjidh probleme që ishin pak teknike. Çështja e shumë programeve që ishin pak hapin konfuzion, titujt e programeve, inxhinieri, agromedisi dhe ekologji. Këtu doli kjo shakaja e gjyqës time sepse kur ja shpjegova më thanë çfarë do të thënë kjo. Unë nëse do të aplikoj më thashë që jemi në gjimnaz, çfarë do të thotë ky titull?
Now the mystery of the grandmother is solved.
Yeah, the poor grandmother had to listen to so much text.
Professor, to conclude, because this is the discussion about all this never ends, and I would be very interested to come in one of your discussions and to be just to follow. I'm very curious. It's an experience that can help also myself to understand how you restructure. But I want to ask you something totally different.
Yes.
Remaining in Albania, of course. So when you got this request from us to come and meet you, what did you have any idea of Albania? What was your perception? What you knew about Albania? Because if I'm not wrong, you never came until that time to Albania, right?
It's not exactly true.
Okay, correct me.
So I have to say, from my profession, I'm a forester. So I'm the professor for silviculture at BOKU. So we work a lot in Europe. So I traveled to a lot of areas in Europe. Specifically to Albania, I have been a few months before we met, because based on my profession, I was engaged in a project in the Vjosa to assess the forestry situation. And I spent the whole week in the Vjosa region, and then during the time when we were already talking about this cooperation, I had to assess a project in the Trini River Basin. So I traveled with Mark Rupa, our office manager, the whole week through the Trini River Basin, so I learned a lot about the rural areas of Albania. And I was in Kosovo, did some research in Montenegro, and of course I have PhD students from Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina, so I'm not unfamiliar with this. You know, we work very international. And so I knew a little bit about Albania, but of course not in this detail, and therefore I knew that this is an interesting country. And therefore, I was also curious what you guys are doing here. And I think the most important thing when you work in research is curiosity. So you need to be open for new developments. And you need to be, of course, as you said also in your introductory speech, you need to assess people and so on. But it's the same from our side as a researcher. You see immediately, and this has nothing to do with age or profession, do these people really want to do something, or do they just keep you busy with things which will never happen.
But anyhow, now you are much better placed to say what do you think about Albania, and I think you are slowly making the days to get the Albanian passport, huh?
Maybe, I don't know, but I see Albania as it reminds me a lot to Austria. See, I come when you work in this, I have to go back to my profession, because we work on the rural side, and when you do this reorganization process, at least I think so, it helps a lot if you understand a bit this environmental area. So if you know a bit about agriculture, about forestry and so on, because this is important also for structuring processes. I think this is you don't need to be an expert in agriculture or forestry, but you need to understand the emotions, you need to understand the needs. And a country like Albania is a bit smaller than Austria, but it has similar conditions. And you have some very unique things. First of all, you have a mountainous country. You have the sea, which I think is fantastic, and I'm very jealous because Austria has no sea anymore. I mean, we are too small. We don't have a sea, we have two seas, Adriatic and Ionian. The second thing is, and this makes your agriculture so, I think, so potential, you have a warm climate but enough water. And because you asked me what was one of the outcomes of this assessment, I think you urgently need a water program. Water, wastewater, drinking water management. This becomes a real important issue, also from an economic side. And we need
the water program in the university.
Yes. And the way how we have this with environmental engineering at BOKU, and we created already groups where they share the information and so on. And then another thing is, you know, I said this several times, when you travel around the country, you see that people give up their agricultural areas and come to, let's say, to urban areas. Well, to some extent you cannot avoid it, but it's also an important issue, and now I may act more like a politician, to develop rural areas. And how do you do this? You need to create income for people who live there. And what is the easiest way to create income? Tourist business. But you need to organize and structure it. And I also think this tourist development has to be done by local people and not by investors from outside. This is the key message, because otherwise it's not sustainable. Investors come and go, local people stay. And this was the success story of Austria. I come from a countryside, this was a very poor area. With the skiing business, they became very rich, but they really tried to develop this by themselves. The government has supported with infrastructure and with legal requirements and so on.
It goes without saying that
and that education.
When it comes to foreign investors in tourism, you need them for very major projects. But when it comes to rural development, and when it comes to coast development, whatever, the base, the backbone, it's of course the locals. It's, and what we can do, and what we are now pushing a lot with a new package, is to get as much as possible our Albanians in diaspora interested in coming back and investing in their land, investing in their grandfathers' houses in the villages, by telling them, listen, maybe to become a farmer and to sell your product is difficult, but to invest and turn your house, your property, in a touristic destination, it's a very good business.
By the way, Poland was very successful with this. There are lots of rich Polish people from Germany, UK, they reinvested money. And I wanted to come back to our topic here with the university. And of course, here the role of the university is important, that we need to create knowledge so that people understand this. And I think this is actually why I think this is so urgently needed, that we are successful pretty fast. Because this development will really speed up the closer you get to the European Union. And the interest in Albania and Central Europe is extremely high. Lots of people say, you go to Albania, I also want to go there. So you are really an interesting target country in Central Europe. So I'm very proud, I have to say, that I have the chance to learn more about Albania, and you see we are eager to change to change these things. And I really, you should come to one of our next meetings, maybe in fall. Because we are now really getting the first bachelor programs going. And then we can show you a few results and also the impact we had in the structure.
I think we have to organize, because this is again, all this cooperation with him, because he never voted for me, by the way, but this is a secret. He never voted for me. he has other beliefs, but this
I know.
This but it's okay. It's okay. It doesn't matter. Nobody
fighting for the best solution, I would say.
Nobody's perfect. But the whole cooperation and then friendship started from that point. You know, he was alarmed that the university was losing students, and less students or high school graduates wanted to come. And he said to me, Prime Minister, please, we have to lower the bar. I said, no, we have to make the bar. So it would be, I think, wise to have together in, I don't know, somewhere in June, also to launch a message to the kids, and to share these things with the kids in high school and say, listen, it's a different university today. Come, because it's worth coming.
No, we are fully aware of this, and I also have to say one of the strategic issues here is that we have a stronger engagement of the students. You know, when you reorganize study programs, you don't do this for the professors, you do it for the students. And I want the students to have a voice. Of course, they see this from a different perspective, but I did my master program and PhD. For me, it doesn't matter, and also for the rector. But for you, it matters, because you invest time, your parents invest money, because they trust in the education. And why do you do this? Because you want to have a prosperous future. And this is the responsibilities the professors and the academic staff at the university has. To keep themselves busy that's not really the goal of a university.
And I want to conclude by saying, Professor, with no additional weight of a compliment or of flattery, but with full heart, that we are very honored of your friendship. And you should feel privileged that you have this chance to be encouraged by someone who has led for many years one of the best universities in the world. And we will do all our best to not let you down, in the sense that at the end of this never-ending, in fact, but at least at the end of this, let's say, jump, you will feel you'll feel proud also, and you'll feel also like privileged to have had this experience. Ky ishte episodi për sot, edhe duke shpresuar që nuk ishte shumë akademik, ose nuk ishte shumë i komplikuar me gjithë këto termat që u përdorën këtu nga profesorët. Dëshiroj ta mbyll duke thënë që jam vërtet shumë inkurajuar që Universiteti Bujqësor i Tiranës po transformohet me një thellësi dhe me një qasje nga e cila jo vetëm do të përfitojnë të gjithë pedagogët e studentët e universitetit, pa jam i bindur do të përfitojë gjithë sistemi i arsimit të lartë universitar, dhe ju bëj të gjithëve një ftesë atyre që janë në gjeneratën e Bejanit, studentës që kemi këtu, që ta studiojnë dhe ta vlerësojnë mundësinë për të vendosur Universitetin Bujqësor ndër kërkesat e tyre ose ndër zgjedhjet e tyre të mundshme në sezonin e ardhshëm, sepse 2080 do të gjejë Universitetin Bujqësor në majën e universiteteve këtu në rajon, siç do të gjejë Shqipërinë në majën e Bashkimit Evropian.